Thank you.
Senator for Nandi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to ask the Cabinet Secretary, and I want to thank him, Mr. Speaker. You remember the former CS never stepped in this house, even after we sanctioned. I want to thank Mr. Speaker. My simple question is, as at now, Waziri, what is the total pending bill by the national government? Because sometimes we hear that roads are only pending bill of 700 billion. Plus, as of today, what is the total both domestic and international debt that Kenya owes in this country? I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Mbugua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and allow me to join my colleagues in congratulating the CS. And I would want the CS to tell this House the specific amount of money the National Treasury owes in pending bills and what the government, through the Treasury, is doing to clear these bills because they're having a negative effect on our economy. Thank you.
Senator Professor Margaret Kamau.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. May I congratulate the Minister and welcome him to the House. I worked with him in the 10th Parliament, in the Budget Committee, and I know how sharp he is. So he's truly the new broom in the House. Mr. Speaker, I had a problem with his first response when he referred us back to the individual ministries to get the pending bills. Does it mean that the Treasury does not know the pending bills and does not have these records? Because our assumption is that all the other ministries, money, as far as money is concerned, respond to Treasury, and when they have pending bills, they should be talking to Treasury. So I thought that was a very important question, that we needed to know the link between the ministries and Treasury as far as pending bills are concerned. Don't they have the data? Thank you.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also wish to join my colleagues to congratulate the new CS, a colleague of mine for 10 years in National Assembly. I know you are a smart CS, and we believe you're going to do a lot of things there and help Kenyans. Mine, Honorable Speaker, is a comment from what Senator Tula said. You know, National Treasury has a system that is centralized, the IPMIS system that basically manages the expenditure at the counties. And I don't see the reason why they should not have an integrated revenue management system for the counties. The governors are fighting because they are stealing by collecting cash, they are stealing by having their own systems with their collaborators. So, Honorable Speaker, I want the CS to commit that by all means, that system, integrated revenue management system, has been rolled to seal the leakages of revenue at the counties.
Honorable CS, you may now proceed to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me say, in response to the supplementary question from the questioner, the Senator Catherine Moma, that question number 2, which was asking the specific pending bills that were paid in the financial year in question, it's not that I've refused or my ministry has refused to respond, but this may require a little bit, quite a bit of time, because usually when payments are made by the ministries or state departments and MDS, we don't disintegrate that this one is now for pending bill and this is a new bill. We make payments continuously, and then the figure for pending bills are supplied at the end of the financial year. And I'll come to that because that is a question that Senator Margaret Kamar also asked. So I just thought that if maybe there are specific ministries where you are interested in knowing the specific pending bills that were paid, then that would have been supplied easily. But if this House finds that my ministry supplies this information, it will take a while, but we can still supply the information. On whether we could have a template, yeah, Honorable Speaker, maybe I just continue. I hope Senator Catherine could attend to...
Senator Muma,
Yes.
you've abandoned your questions.
Yeah,
Kindly
so she asked whether we could design a template to capture this information. Yes, we could. But again, you know, we have the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, which determines the kind of systems that we use. It is a recommendation that we can put to the board so that they approve it, and then we have a system that would capture some of this information as and when they are onboarded to the system. Again, Senator, you are spot on that the approved budget is not what is expended. That is true. Our absorption level is very low, especially on donor-funded, so to speak, projects or projects funded through development partners, through loans and grants. And this is because of a number of reasons, some of which are internal, some also relate to the development partners. But a lot of issues is because of us. Number one, most of the donor-funded projects require counterpart funding. Sometimes we put the donor-funded projects in the budget without sufficient provision, or we end up reducing our budgets like it has happened in this financial year when we realize that we can't collect so much. So you find a deficit in the counterpart funding, which then would affect the donor-funded project, because for the development partners to release the money, they must be assured that the counterpart funding is guaranteed and is forthcoming. So that is a serious challenge that we must deal with. Secondly, there are also reporting issues raised by the development partners. But in terms of the strategy going forward, without going into the details why these absorptions have not been forthcoming or have not been smooth, we have a team that is looking into this matter, coordinated from my ministry, and we are going to address all these issues. Actually, just a few days, I think 2 days ago, I was dealing with a case of the Finnish government ready to provide us with grants, not even a loan. But then our delay, our internal systems are complicating the implementation of the same. So these are issues that are efficiency issues which must be dealt with. But there are also the other ones of budgetary issues. Those ones we must also have a strategy on how to make sure that if we are factoring funding in our budget from development partners, there must be a matching funds or the counterpart funding so that when it comes to implementation, the implementation becomes smooth. So that addresses your issue of how then would we ensure the uptake of these development funds. It is something that, especially now that funding is shrinking by the day, we must make sure that we clear the hurdles on these development-funded projects. Senator Dulo has raised serious concerns with the collection of revenue at the counties, and I can't agree more. There is already a proposal which has gone to an advanced stage to have a system, a standardized system for collection of revenue in counties. There is no reason why we should operate like we are 48 governments. We are actually a country with devolved systems of governments, but we need to have a standardized system so that if you come from Isiolo, you go to Homa Bay, it's almost predictable. If you're a business person, what to pay, how much to pay, and even how to pay it should be standardized. So that process is ongoing. Unfortunately, consensus has not been reached with the Council of Governors. I appeared before the last and my first IBEC meeting, and this matter is still under discussion. I hope soon we are going to find a way forward, because we also don't want to upset the county government, because there is a level of autonomy. We don't want to impose a system on them. It is the responsibility of the Ministry of Finance, which is the National Treasury, to design a system to help all spending units have a system that is efficient. But again, we know that county governments also enjoy some level of autonomy. We want to bridge that gap so that we agree. That, I think, is being coordinated by the Deputy President, who is the chair of IBEC, and soon we will come up with a solution. Honorable Cheragay has asked me a direct question on what is the total pending bills. And your question, I would tie it to the question that has been raised by Senator Margaret Kamar. You know, Senator Kamar, you started wishing me well in the 10th Parliament. I don't know what you saw, but you kept on saying that there is somewhere where I'll reach. I don't know whether now you can tell me whether I've reached where you wanted me to reach, or you still feel I'm going far. But it is not that we don't know how much is pending bills. What is not clear is the authenticity of the pending bills that is being reported. Remember, pending bills in Kenya, we have been using what we call cash basis of accounting. So pending bills or money owed to the government by the government of Kenya to various citizens who are service providers. Actually, we should not even call them pending bills. These are debts owed to people. These amounts, we are not very clear about them, because they don't form the body of our financial statements. In cash basis, they are reported as notes off balance sheet. So they really, we don't treat them with the, we don't give them the weight that we should. We are moving, beginning this financial year, to accrual basis, where now pending bills will form part of our balance sheet, of our financial reporting. But right now, the reports that we have is that pending bills that which were submitted, because we formed the pending bills committee. Yeah? It is called Pending Bills Verification Committee. What was submitted to them was 664 billion shillings, owed by the national government, not the counties. Now, these amounts will definitely come down. From the indication, because we have not even received an interim report, I gather that the pending bills may be just in the region of 400 or so billion, meaning about 200 and so billion could have been fictitious. But let me wait for the final report to be submitted, or even an interim report to be submitted by this committee. So we know the pending bills. On roads, which Honorable Cheragay mentioned, at least we know that we owe cumulatively about 167 billion to the various road contractors. And that is why you see across the country, all road projects have stalled. And quite a significant portion of this is on interest and penalties charged by these contractors for idle equipment, which again, sometimes you find those there are no even equipment on the road. They bring broken machinery and put there. We are on a program and a strategy to make sure, especially on the road sector, that we bring back the road constructors on the road. We managed to negotiate a loan with the China, through China Development Bank. We negotiated a concessionary loan of 36 billion equivalent of Kenya shillings to take up about 15 roads. One would ask, why those roads? These were roads which were being constructed through GOK funds, but were awarded to Chinese contractors. So we have just changed the responsibility of paying them through GOK funds to being paid through a concessionary loan from the Chinese government. But we are in a process where we are looking for money. We hope that by December of this year, we should be able to have cleared at least the pending bills on to the road contractors and have the contractors back on the road. I would have told you more that the moment you owe contractors money, one, you are affecting the economy badly because there is no liquidity. But two, if these contractors could come back to the roads, then construction industry, which has been shrinking, the contribution of construction to GDP, if you looked at the few years, the 2 years now, it has been going down. It is now at about 1.4% of GDP. It used to be very high. Why? Because road constructions across the country is not ongoing. So the contribution of construction to our GDP is very low, and that is why our GDP cannot rise to the required level. Now let me move to, I think Honorable Mbugua also asked the same question on pending bills. So it is a question asked by Senator Cherargei, Senator Margaret Kamar. Now, the last question I have here is from Senator Kisang on integrating our revenue collection system for the counties. Again, I think I addressed this question. We have a proposal, we have a mechanism, we have a system we are proposing to the counties, a standardized system of revenue collection. Unfortunately, consensus is yet to be reached. So the moment we agree with the COG, then this will be rolled out and we'll have a system that is standardized, that can now be checked for efficacy, and if it is good, as I think it will be, then it would help address some of the problems that we face with our counties in terms of revenue collection. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Onyonka.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I would like to, first of all, welcome my brother John Mbadi, who we have slogged it out in this house for many years. And I want to say that, CS, I'm happy to see you. I know that you and me have brushed each other our shoulders recently, but that was not personal. That was purely business. And I would like to just raise 3 issues. I am glad that you have discussed the issue of revenue collection. My position is that...
Onyonka.
Yes.
Under standing orders, you're entitled to ask 1 supplementary question. Just
Thank
one.
you. Thank you. It's one which has got 3 lines.
No. 1 is 1.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. CS, the issue of revenue collection, the contradictions in the IFMIS system, the problem of exchequer releases, and of course, finally, our debt. What do you intend to do with those 3 things? I know you've kind of answered them, but I've tried to link them all together. For example, if we had one simple financial system that is interfacing the county governments, the national government, all departments of government, the foreign service, you would then know who's spending your money, how they're spending it, and where it's going. Do you intend to have such a system so that then we can actually reduce the amount of mismanagement or abuse which has taken place with the system? Thank you, sir.
Senator Oburu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to welcome the CS Treasury to this Parliament. I know when I was there as an assistant minister, he used to give me very tough questions, and I was struggling to answer some of those questions. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to ask strictly one question, as you have said. This is just curious, Mr. Speaker, that when the team went to China, they only negotiated for payment of Chinese contractors. And yet there are many other contractors who are also stalled. They have moved out of construction sites because of pending bills, Mr. Speaker. I did not clearly hear from the CS what they plan to do with these others, and why were the Chinese too selfish just to agree to fund only their own. But if you pay the pending bills, what happens now for further construction? Is it just paying debt for these contractors? And what arrangement is there to make sure that those roads which were funded by the Chinese continue and they are finished? Because that is the interest of Kenyans. We don't want to know whether you have paid them. They are pending bills. Pending bills is only pending, but we want how the arrangements you have for continuation and completion of those roads, and what will happen to those ones which are not funded by the Chinese, and why they were only funding the ones for their contractors and not the others. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very interesting that Senator Oburu is actually asking the question that I wanted to, but I will twist it a bit. Because basically what has happened, then the Chinese have given us a concession loan to pay their own people, and you can take care of your people wherever whichever you take care of them. But going specifically to that 36 billion Kenya shillings that you have gotten from China to revive the construction of 15 roads, as you said, I want to ask the CS to check with these people, if we can now, whether those 15 roads, the Kibwezi, Mutomo, Kitui, Migwani, Bodoni Road, is part of the 15 roads that will be revived. Bwana CS, that road is such a pathetic situation. 102 kilometers. They have done almost 180, remaining less than 20 kilometers to completion. The contractor has shipped out of sight. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. How I wish Senator Nyonka was still around. But I just want